My sister, F30, is obsessed with my F31 boyfriend, M37. I'll start by saying that I love my sister very much, even though we have never been very close. Something that's always caused tension between us is that she can be quite a jealous and insecure person, and is always comparing herself and her life to others, particularly me. She has in the past frequently expressed jealousy over my appearance, weight, career, friends, travels, etc. The one aspect of our lives that she's always felt superior to me over is our love lives. I have had really bad luck when it comes to love. I had one relationship that was physically, emotionally and sexually abusive, and as a result dating has been quite hard for me and I have a difficult time trusting men. I was single for years. Meanwhile she had been with the same guy for 8 years, and was always talking about how great and stable he was, all the gifts he would give her etc. In 2017 I met my partner. We instantly connected on a level I'd never experienced before, and after many months of being just friends, and getting closer and closer in the name of platonic friendship, we eventually told each other how we really felt and began dating. I cannot express enough how much I love this man. He makes me feel adored, safe, supported and appreciated. He's witty and smart and hilarious and gentle and sexy. We moved in together in 2019 and life has been blissful. Also in 2019 my sister fell pregnant. Her partner told her he was getting ready to propose. However, about 5 months after the birth of my niece he decided he didn't want to be with my sister anymore and left. This was very traumatic for my sister, especially since this was around the time COVID was kicking off and lockdowns were being announced, and all of a sudden she was facing being a single mom. Thankfully she lived close to my parents and was able to form a bubble with their household, so she had their support, and when lockdowns eased my boyfriend and I would help out whenever we could. It's been incredible watching my niece, F3, grow up, and it's been lovely watching my boyfriend be so good with her. He has 4 nephews so he knows how to be a fun uncle, play with kids and talk to them etc. This is where the weirdness started. It began with my sister making constant comments about how good my boyfriend is with kids. I would agree with her, but then she'd make digs about how it's such a shame he's with someone who wants to be child-free, aka me, and it's such a waste of a good man. That he was born to be a dad etc. Soon she would start sighing about how my boyfriend is perfect and how she needs to find another him. Again, I would agree because in my opinion he really is the perfect package and I would love for my sister to find someone as great as him. But it soon became evident she doesn't want someone like him. She just wants him. She began saying he was the main male figure in her daughter's life, and that he was the closest thing my niece had to a father. When my niece started talking and familiarizing herself with our roles, she would call him uncle, but then all of a sudden she started calling him daddy. I would always gently correct her and say, "No darling, that's your uncle." But one time my sister heard this and she yelled at me for correcting her daughter and said I need to leave it alone, that it doesn't matter if she calls my boyfriend daddy. This is when I got really uncomfortable and put my foot down, and told her she needed to stop confusing her daughter and stop allowing her to think my boyfriend is her daddy. I feel like my sister knows that letting my niece call my boyfriend daddy is only going to confuse her, but I also feel like she doesn't care because she likes to pretend my boyfriend is the daddy. After that fight things got quite tense between us and my sister started snapping at me over everything I did, while still mooning over my partner and telling him how amazing he is. A few times my partner had to stick up for me and tell my sister not to speak to me like that in our house, which always bruised her. Things hit a boiling point last weekend. She asked us to babysit my niece for a couple of hours while she gets her hair trimmed. This wasn't ideal, as my boyfriend was doing something that required a lot of concentration and quiet that morning. Plus we had an engagement later that afternoon, so I reluctantly agreed but explained to my sister that we needed to leave at a certain time so she really had to be back by then. My sister is very disrespectful of other people's time and has no regard for other people's lives, it's always all about her. I took my niece to the park to let my boyfriend have some peace and quiet. We played for a while then sat and had a coffee and cappuccino at my local cafe before eventually returning home. I expected my sister to be returning soon too as agreed, but she was a no-show. Time is ticking, my boyfriend and I really need to get going. I'm ringing my sister and she's not answering. I'm stressed. Then all of a sudden she turns up, 40-odd minutes late. I'm pissed but I don't even have time to get into it with her, so I just start to say goodbye to my niece. That's when my sister noticed what she insisted was mold on my niece's shoes. She asked, or yelled, at me if I let her walk in puddles. I said she may have accidentally stepped in a puddle while at the park, but she wasn't jumping in them. My sister then started ranting like a lunatic at me that I was not to let her go in puddles without gumboots, and that because of my thoughtlessness the shoes are now moldy. I said that's not how mold works, it doesn't grow after 3 hours, it can't be mold. Or if it is mold, it isn't there because of me. Mold does not grow in 3 hours. But my sister can't be told. She screamed at me, called me thoughtless and an idiot with no common sense or maternal instincts. I stepped outside during this argument and told her she was acting appallingly in front of her daughter. That's when she closed the back door on me and locked it, locking me out of the house. My house. I banged and demanded she unlock the door. She said, "Not until you calm down and I feel it's safe for you to be around my daughter." I was so disgusted at her audacity. How dare she lock me out of my own home? I went around to the front door but she had locked that too. Luckily I had my phone in my pocket, so I rang my boyfriend and told him to let me in because she had locked me out of the house. He was upstairs and had no idea any of this had happened. When he opened the door for me, I have never seen him look so angry in my life. He was furious, but he kept his cool and calmly but firmly told my sister to get out, that he was sick of her being so disrespectful to me when I bent over backwards trying to help her, and that she was no longer welcome under this roof until she apologized to me. She scoffed and said, "That's never going to happen," then she left. It's been a few days and since then she has been blowing up my boyfriend's phones with texts. He's shown them all to me. In them, she apologizes to him, not to me though, saying she's stressed out being a single mom and that she gets no support from her family, the only support she has is him. My boyfriend replied saying that the only time he is around her or my niece is when I'm there too, so her saying that is proof that she does not appreciate or see the amount of support I give her. My sister replied saying it's not the same because I'm not a maternal person and would never be a good mother, so I don't get it, like he does. Then she sent message after message, each more insane and inappropriate than the last, saying she wishes he was my niece's father, that he's everything she's ever wanted in a man, that they would make such a good team, that she is more compatible for him than I am, and that it breaks her heart every day she sees him wasting his life with me. There were also texts where she talked about how great he looks and smells. My boyfriend replied with, "This is not appropriate nor appreciated. I'm not comfortable receiving these messages and ask you please not contact me again until you have resolved things with me." Then he blocked her. I'm just at a loss on where to go from here. I love my niece so much and want to be in her life. I'm worried about my sister, I can see she's struggling, and I want to help her, but this situation has become so toxic. Nothing I do is good enough. I'm tired of being screamed at for everything I do wrong and being told I don't have good maternal instincts, when others who have seen me with my niece tell me I'm doing a great job. I may not want to be a mother, but I do want to be an aunt, and it hurts my feelings to have everything I try to do for my sister get dismissed. Then there's my sister's feelings towards my boyfriend, which at this point feels like a fucking obsession. I feel like both he and I have been disrespected hugely by her. How do we navigate that? I genuinely have no idea what to do and it hurts my heart. Please help. Too long did not read. My sister became a single mom shortly after giving birth to her baby, and since then she has grown an obsession with my boyfriend and a resentment towards me. I don't know what to do anymore. Until your sister gets her head screwed on straight you go no contact. Surely your parents look after your niece occasionally. You can see her then. If you're lucky, she'll become infatuated with someone else soon. As much as it sucks not being able to see your niece, for your and your boyfriend's well-being it would probably be best to not have any contact going forward. Great job on your man shutting shit down, sis. I'm so sorry you have to go through this. Do you have parents you can show evidence of this to? I day show evidence because they may not believe how extreme it is otherwise. Maybe you guys can work together to get her therapy. Simply cutting off contact may not work at this point. Hopefully it won't come to this, but please be alert and aware for your own safety. Update. I'm leaving him and need good advice on healing. It's been a while and I thought I would post an update. This is my original post, 6. I'm leaving him and need good advice on healing. Relationship_advice, reddit.com. I left him and he made my life miserable. I blocked him so he found other numbers to call me from. I blocked those numbers too. He sent me aggressive text messages and emails once he realized I wasn't coming back. First he said, "Okay, you made your point, now stop the tantrum," which progressed to, "Aren't you taking this too far?" He would say he was sorry and insult me within minutes. The message that I found alarming said, "You think you are so smart." I did email him a complete list of my expenses, that lead nowhere, and a formal request for reimbursement after he had me pay rent with promise of equity and lied. I did transfer the $40K from our joint account as basically, it was my salary getting drained into it. He went ballistic, called me a thief and threatened me. I retained a lawyer who did wonders to help me out. First of all, she had her staff analyze my bank statements, his texts and emails from early in our relationship and anything pertaining to my investment. The money I paid in excess rent amounts to $89K, as he also asked me to put down some money for a pool and a deck that never got built. Because he wrote it down but had the gall to deny all promises when I asked in writing, it counts as fraud. I was so foggy I'd forgotten about the pool and deck. That was before I moved in. I did ask and he kept putting it off. So, via due diligence, my lawyer finds out he was about to lose the house, so he likely used my money to get up to date, and after that, he most have used it for himself. We filed a lawsuit because he was being unreasonable. He was pretty confident and very arrogant during our meeting, at his lawyer's office. He eventually got very irritated and scolded my attorney and demanded she call him, sir, and/or engineer. This pissed her off. My lawyer did a timeline of his messages with dates and hour. He wrote me both from his Gmail account and his corporate account. She contacted the company's HR and asked for their policies on moral conduct and spousal abuse, verbal abuse and misuse of communication tools. Then she circled back to his lawyer. His company is very active in social responsibility, so this is not good for them. Especially because of his harassment. One message said he wanted to use my mouth like a $$y. He agreed to pay me back in full, out of good faith, stop contacting me and will pay me an additional $60K divided in $3K a month to compensate for my anxiety. This is true, and I have a medical record and a job counselor. And the time and money that could have gone into my own career. It's been ratified and he already issued a first payment. He cried poor but agreed to make a down payment of $25K for the $89K and will complete the remaining $24K, $64K minus the $40K I transferred, by December, as he asked for reasonable time. I hated the process. It was good to see him deflate, but I was stressed out. So, right now I'm interested in moving further away. I changed my number, but still, I want to feel safer. Well done, and congratulations. By all means keep safe and move to where he can't find you, so you can continue your healing process. I'm so happy to hear that you stood up for your rights, despite his continuing belittling and threats, and found a good lawyer to help you make your legitimate case for reimbursement. I hope that Redditors who still feel trapped and helpless in their abusive relationships will read this update, and gain inspiration from it. Great job with everything. Please make sure you do find a therapist if you haven't yet. What you have done is incredibly difficult and will continue to be for a while. Do what you need to protect yourself and get a good network of friends to also help. Well done, your lawyer is awesome. Now go and be happy. He got lawyered right there. Congratulations on ditching that pos. Suggestion. Go to Aruba and sit on the beach for a week. Congrats. Good for you. You're a warrior girl. Keep us posted. Girlfriend gets sad every time I tell her something that makes me sad about what she said, did. When I tell my girlfriend that something she said or did made me sad, she starts getting really sad and I have to comfort her each time. I told her this once, but I don't really know what to do. Because I ended up just not telling her anything now because I know she will get sad and I have to comfort her. I'm uncertain if I should tell her again, but I don't think it will make a difference. I even tried telling her very casually, but even that made her sad. She starts getting really sad and I have to comfort her each time. You don't have to comfort her. She is derailing your issue by making the focus on herself and your feelings. Hey, I'm sorry you feel sad, but I still keep wanting to talk about X. Sounds like her plan is working. Woman shrugging, medium light skin tone. She's deflecting your pain by forcing you focus on hers. Next time you say something to her and she starts to cry, I recommend replying with, I can see this has upset you. I'll give you a moment to process and we can continue the discussion. And then walk away and come back to it in a couple of minutes. I guarantee she'll snap out of it real quick. Sounds like an avoidant type. They need to know down deep you aren't about to bail out on them. Like pour down reassurances in a giant heap before you ever bring up your issue. It's fear, they don't want to face what might make you leave. F22, boyfriend, M26, went too far in bed. My boyfriend went too far in bed. Last night we were sleeping together and he got very aggressive. While in bed he started choking and smacking me and being very rough. We do usually dirty talk, so he misinterpreted my protests as dirty talk. He only stopped after he bruised my cervix and I started crying. When I went to the hospital because of the pain, I found bruises on my body from his roughness, and the nurse even did a check to see if I was the victim of DV because of the bruising. After that embarrassing ordeal, I am having a hard time forgiving him. He apologized after defending himself by saying he didn't know I didn't like it, but I never asked for it. But he scared me, he hit and chalked me hard and didn't have the ability to see I was distressed and in pain. I know it's an accident, but it was scary. Dirty talk is not the same as choking and hitting. It's also not the same as you repeatedly asking him to stop. He didn't misunderstand. He just didn't care. Nope. He knows what he did, and him getting defensive shows it. You never go that far in bed without bringing it up beforehand. I have done rough play like that and have never ever been bruised from it, so he was going extremely hard. This is definitely SAW. You are a victim of domestic violence. It wasn't an accident. He hurt you on purpose. I can't see any man so clueless he just assume you'd like that without asking and just doing it. Leave him. You should choose a safe word, such as, "I'm dumping you, get out."